What's up, YouTube? It's Rock Cran, your homeless YouTuber. This is going to be my MCU in Memoriam video. Now that it's like pretty much over, if you haven't seen Endgame, go away from this video because it's all about spoilers and my feelings over the last 10 years of Marvel movies and what they got right and what they did wrong. So strap in, it's going to be a long one. Anyways, let's start with what I think was their best film, and that's Captain America: The Winter Soldier. That was an amazing, like, spy superhero. I don't know, they introduced, like, Arnim Zola, which I thought was cool. You know, an old school character. And, you know, Robert Redford was the bad guy, and they destroyed S.H.I.E.L.D. by the end of the movie. I thought that was, you know, pretty awesome. It had repercussions throughout the MCU. Even it showed up on the stupid TV show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which, you know, I'm not a fan of. I mean, it had some moments that were cool, but overall it wasn't a very good show, at least in my opinion. So Winter Soldier was awesome, but just I'm a longtime comic book reader, like since the 70s, and they made like some major world building mistakes in my eye. I mean, they made Tony Stark a villain for most of the MCU because they didn't have, you know, Hank Pym around. Hank Pym makes some mistakes all the time. He's a goof. But in the Ant-Man movie, they took one of Hank's personas and gave it to the bad guy. It was stupid. Just the mistakes they made in their world building. All they needed was a cameo, you know, just somebody saying he was Hank Pym and then have him show up later in the movies. But no, they had to wait till they made Ant-Man and then have a really old Hank Pym instead of, you know, founding Avenger Hank Pym, you know, like he was in the comics. And so, you know, without Hank Pym, you don't have Ultron, because Hank Pym created Ultron. Tony Stark didn't do that. Tony Stark didn't create the Vision either. Ultron created the Vision. So, yeah, you don't have either of these things without Hank Pym, and you don't have the Vision as a hero until you have Wonder Man. And they didn't introduce Wonder Man yet, and I don't think they will because, well, they're going totally SJW now. So we'll see. But those are major world-building gripes I have with the MCU. They didn't honor the canon. And it's what I always say, that they're not comic book movies. The MCU are not comic book movies. Because they're not adapting comic books. They're just telling superhero stories. Anyways, so we get down my list of things. I hated how they treated the Hulk in Infinity War. This is the stupidest thing I've ever seen, and if you watch some of my earlier videos, you know exactly how I feel about that. He's the strongest one there is, and you can't just beat him up. You don't beat up the Hulk. That's stupid. Civil War was just a stupid mess. Just a cash grab, really. And, I mean, what was the point of it? There's no point in that whole movie. Except, you know, Tony meets a lady outside of an elevator, and she says, "This was my son, and he died because of what you did with Ultron." Oh shit, we gotta sign the Sokovia Act. We have to do this now because my personality changes on a dime because, you know, I'm a sociopath, and my name is Tony Stark. So, yeah, his motivation in that movie was totally awful. And, you know, the characterization at the end, it's the way you Marvel fans diss the whole Martha thing, it's the exact same thing in Civil War. It's almost identical. It's so stupid, but you MCU fans just eat that shit up. Anyways, let's see. Oh, yeah, in Endgame, Captain America's shield is not made of paper mache. What the fuck? Oh my god. He can withstand punches, like full-strength punches from the Hulk, but Thanos just tears it up. Nope. I don't buy into any of that. Let's see, what's going on. Black Panther's seen as an Oscar-worthy movie. I don't know, I guess they're just looking for woke points there. I mean, it was okay. The CG in the third act was awful. Just some of the worst I've ever seen. But, you know, that's just my opinion. But I thought the movie was cool, though. I mean, just, you know, how things fall apart in the third act a lot in movies. And that one did. And it didn't deserve all the acclaim it got. But that's just me. And then, of course, you have Cat Pan Whammon. Well, were no fan of that movie. I didn't even see it. Or Ant-Man 2, or Thor 3, or, I don't know, there's gotta be more. But Cat Pan Whammon, that's the worst. And the way that, you just gotta look at my videos. I got a few of them about this. In fact, I'll leave a link in the description to the one where I call out all of Rotten Tomatoes shenanigans to make that movie like something good. And, here's yet another of Tony Stark's villainous acts. He stole Pepper Potts from Happy Hogan, and he was alive. In the comics, forever those two were married. But in the MCU, Tony and Pepper, what's that about? Makes no sense to me. Now, of course, in modern comics, after the Civil War, Happy died. And then they got hooked up. But you shouldn't throw away 50 years of comic book history just to make Tony Stark happy. And it's another part of his villainous behavior. His selfishness. He redeems himself really, really well in Endgame. There's no doubt about it. I mean, his first scene in the movie, he's a total selfish bastard. Just like he's supposed to be. But by the end, he's a hero. So, like I said, spoilers for Endgame. So let's go down my list of everything that I really enjoyed about the MCU. Maybe this video ain't going to be that long. No, there's some things. I love the Ant-Man movie. I totally dug the first one. I haven't seen the second one all the way through. Started it, and then my data on my phone just spun. Like the circle in the middle when you're trying to watch something. Just did that, so I had to turn it off. I thought Michael Pena was a great addition to the cast, and all those guys, the whole crew. I thought, it's kind of wrong to go Scott Lang as your first Ant-Man, but, they cut corners in the MCU. They try to tell whatever story they want. And, Peyton Reed, I think, did a good job on that first one. So, kudos to him. And, of course, his appearance in Civil War was amazing. He was one of the bright spots of that shit movie. Let's see. Iron Man, the first one. Totally awesome. Introduce our narcissistic character. Our lead actor, the star of the MCU, Robert Downey Jr. as Ant-Man or Iron Man. Yeah, he was awesome. That first movie was amazing. Second one sucked. Oh, that's right, I didn't see Thor 3 either. Or Iron Man 3. Excuse me. Iron Man 1 is just awesome. It's just a great movie. They picked all the right parts from his history and updated it, and made a modern movie out of it. And I thought that was cool. The first Thor movie, thought was awesome. That was very much like the comic. He's banished, but they didn't have him split in time with a human. I don't know if that's too crazy for people to figure out. I don't know. But that's how, he was back in the day. Dr. Donald Blake would hit his cane on the ground. He would turn into Thor. Then in the 90s, they had Jake Olsen. He was a paramedic. And he would just slam his fist on the floor, and he would become Thor. But, I don't know. I guess they thought that was a little too confusing for Marvel audiences. And it very well could have been. Because, you got to always make movies for the lowest common denominator. At least at Marvel, Disney, and all that. But yeah, I thought the first Thor was great. It had all that Shakespearean, infighting with the power struggle between Dad and Loki, and Thor just trying to be worthy, and the Devastator shows up and kills Thor. That happened in the issue number 1 of the Thor series back in the day. So I thought that was pretty cool. I thought the Warriors 3 were great. It was great to see them. What's his name? Heimdall was kind of a waste of Idris Elba, but you got to do what you got to do. And I don't know, there was just some good people in that first movie. I really liked Thor 1. Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, fantastic films. Totally dig them. Awesome space stuff. I mean, some of the characterizations are a little off to me. Drax has never been that in the comics that I read. I quit reading Marvel like 20 years ago, it feels like. But Drax has never just been a dummy. He was really intelligent and calculating and a tactician. He didn't just grab 2 knives and try to jump on whatever. But, you know, his characterization in the movie is for humor. I think that's what they're going for. And that's fine. I mean, that's what they're going for with most of the characters on that team. My only gripe is, you know, they say Gamora's the most dangerous woman in the universe, but she never does anything. Like, she never proves it. They just say it. I really liked how Nebula came along in those 2 movies, too. She had a real arc, a real character arc in those 2 movies. And then, you know, with Infinity War and Endgame, she was a really important character. And, of course, Peter Quill is cool. He's just too ruled by his emotions. And, I mean, he's the reason they failed in Infinity War, but they had to. Thanos had to snap his fingers and kill all those people. Had to happen. So we could have Endgame. Endgame is totally awesome. It's the perfect send-off for, you know, most of those characters. If you haven't seen it, spoilers, Tony dies, but he's very heroic there at the end. Tony dies, Natasha dies, Cap's a really old man, Thor takes off, Fat Thor, by the way. He takes off with the Asgardians of the Galaxy. That might be fun. He might be in that movie, Guardians 3. That'd be cool. I'll check that one out. But going forward, I think that might be the only movie the MCU has to offer that I want to go see. Because it's all cat pan women from here on out. They're moving everything to the streaming service that I'm not going to pay for. It's where Hawkeye's going. It's where who is it? The Falcon and the Winter Soldier got a show. Scarlet Witch has a show. Loki's got a show. They're all going to the streaming service that I'm not going to pay for. So, yeah. So that's pretty much the end of the MCU. Everybody's gone. You got Spider-Man, and you got Black Panther, and you got Captain Marvel, and you got the Guardians of the Galaxy and Doctor Strange. I think that's it. I don't care about those characters. Not the way I cared about the Avengers. And they're all gone. So, yeah, in memoriam for the MCU. You were pretty fun while you lasted, but it's just a shame. Shame. Anyways, if you like this video, click the like button. Feel free to subscribe. More hot takes like this every week at least. Yeah, so tell me what you think in the comments, and I'll talk to y'all later.